little bit about it later. Back to you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. So let me introduce Debbie, and she will get going because I know you're eager to see what you all signed up to come here. So let me tell you about Debbie. Debbie is director of the Virtual College at Mercer County Community College, which accounts for nearly 5,000 student seats, that's in quotes, seats, in credit courses at Mercer County Community College each year. As a faculty member, Deborah coordinated and taught developmental math courses and computer technology courses. In providing technical support services to the college, Deborah coordinates technology and software rollouts to faculty and staff. Debbie holds a Master's in Education from the College of New Jersey and a BA in Education from Rowan University. Debbie's area of expertise is distance learning and applications of classroom technology and is regularly called upon to conduct training and presentations on these topics. Deborah has presented at numerous regional and national conferences, including the Instructional Technology Council, the League for Innovation, the Sloan Consortium, Workforce Investment Board, and the NJ Edge. So she's been around talking about what she's doing, and today she's honoring us with showing us what we're doing. So Debbie, I'm going to make you the presenter, and you can take it away.
Okay, Steve and Meg and everyone, thank you so much, and thank you for attending. I will say that I'm feeling slightly panic-stricken with so many of you attending today. I just want to make sure, are you seeing a PowerPoint, just a plain old PowerPoint template right now, and are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you, and we're seeing the template. It is not in the slideshow mode.
Good enough.
It's all there.
Okay, so unfortunately, because there are so many in attendance, this is not going to be as interactive as we would like, but hopefully I'll be able to give you a good sense of what can be done. I just have a short 5-slide PowerPoint, and I think this should be now presentation mode, talking about what we want from our digital delivery in education, and then I'm going to do work on these very slides as we illustrate ways that we can make our presentations more engaging and interactive. Our challenge, of course, is that as educators we know that our students need to be engaged. They need to be interacting with one another, with the instructor, and with the content. However, for a lot of our learners, the PowerPoint presentations don't invite that engagement. Some of our faculty members use the publisher PowerPoints. Some of them are sort of just plain text with some bullets on it, and some of them are illustrated. Some of them are very compelling, but it's a broad mix. So the PowerPoint alone does not mean we've created an engaging and compelling learning environment. In a traditional classroom, that usually comes because there's the live interplay between the teacher and the students and the other students, and of course between the students and the content. But it's not fair of us either to ask our faculty members to become media production experts. They're our subject matter experts. So we have to find other ways to turn our distance delivery into not only important subject matter, but also compelling media experiences. How can we engage and stimulate our students and keep it easy for our faculty members at the same time? It's a tough balancing act. So for this short presentation, we're going to demonstrate how we take an existing PowerPoint, and I'm going to do this live, so you've got to bear with me if I have typographical errors or if I make mistakes. I'm doing it live and I'm watching the clock, plus I'm nervous because there are so many of you watching. But we'll be doing it live right in front of you, and you'll see how we can produce built-in searchable navigation. We can integrate some interactive activities. We can make sure that we've got accessibility compliance, and how we can take advantage of professionally produced streaming video as well. And in order to pull that off, we'll be using SoftChalk and the resources of Intelecom. So with that, I'm simply going to end this PowerPoint presentation and I'm going to turn it back into the kind of view that we use when we simply author our PowerPoint. Now, Steve, do we have a poll for our attendees at this point in time? Or no? Steve, are you there?
I put my phone on mute so that anything I said, or if I coughed, nobody would hear, but now you can hear. Anyway, we have several polls that we were going to ask about, and one of them was their experience with SoftChalk, another was about the use of video and other media in instruction.
Look, if you can, I'd like to get a sense of the audience's experience with SoftChalk. So could you deliver that poll for us?
Yes, there we are. And yes, there it is. So if we can get our folks to respond, let us know what their...
Are we seeing it?
Yeah, you won't see it because you're the presenter.
Oh, okay.
But it's on everybody else's screen. It says, my organization, institution uses SoftChalk, and it's select all that applies. And so I have used SoftChalk myself. You've seen a presentation before, or that this is your first exposure to SoftChalk. And yeah, over 90% have responded so far. So I'm going to close the poll and share it. And 45% of the folks institution use SoftChalk. 53% have used SoftChalk, and 21% this is their first exposure to SoftChalk. So we've got a lot of newbies out there.
Okay, well that gives me a little bit to go on. And of course with all audiences we're split. So I'm probably going to aim for the middle, which of course may not meet anyone's needs perfectly. But are you all seeing my PowerPoint now? We're good to go?
Yep.
Okay. So what we want to do is we don't want to lose the work that the faculty member has done in creating their PowerPoint. The first thing we want to do is check out the PowerPoint and make sure that it's of decent quality and of manageable length. This is simply a 5-slide PowerPoint, so it's a short one. And what we want to do so that we can move it over into SoftChalk and spice it up a bit is simply this. We're going to choose to save as an image. And I hope you're seeing my screen, my Save As dialog box. And if you scroll down in the Save As file of type, you're going to see that there are a number of image file types that you can choose to save your slides as. I like saving as PNG. And I like that because it's a lossless image file format. You could choose JPEG. I'm going to choose PNG, and I'm going to say Save. And you're going to see on this next prompt whether or not we want to save every slide or the current slide only, and I want to save every slide, so that's the choice that I'll make. And because this was a 5-slide PowerPoint, I'm going to have 5 images saved to a folder named Migrating from PowerPoint. So that has now been saved, and sometimes remembering where you've put it is quite simply the most challenging part of the job. Let's hope I remember where I put it. Just as I said that, I did not pay attention to where I put it. What I'm going to do next, ladies and gentlemen, is open my SoftChalk application. Are you all seeing my SoftChalk? Steve, are we okay? Meg?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So we think of SoftChalk as a content authoring software, much like PowerPoint is. The only thing is it's capable of producing a great deal more interactivity. And the first thing that I want to do is that I want to now insert those images or slides into SoftChalk. And to do that, I'm going to go up to the toolbar and I'm going to click Insert, Image, and now I'm going to go to select my image. And I've got my 5 slides waiting right here in the folder called Migrating from PowerPoint. And I'm going to choose my first slide. you'll see that it gives you a little snapshot of it, and I'm going to pick it. Now you're going to notice that we have a red light here because the dimensions and the size of the image are not optimized for the web. So the first thing we're going to do is optimize this image for the web. And notice that SoftChalk does it for you. You don't have to know about how to optimize for the web. You merely need to remember that it should be optimized for the web. And the next thing you'll want to do is provide what is called alternative text. For those of you unfamiliar with this, alternative text is something that the reader or the viewer sees when they rest their cursor over an image, and this helps students who are visually impaired. And so we would put some meaningful text here to assist our visually impaired students. I'm going to keep this short and just do something small and short like that. If we wanted something longer, there's room for a longer description. And also, because I'm trying to fit this on a smaller screen, I'm going to change the dimensions, and I'm going to give it a pixel width of 600, and I'll say OK. And with that alone, the first slide has been inserted into SoftChalk. I'm also going to show you at this point in time how to insert new pages. First, I'm going to show you how to do this with the menu up at the top, and then after that, for the duration of this presentation, I'm going to show you how to do this with a keystroke shortcut. The only problem is you can't see what I'm doing with the keystroke shortcut, so for this first time, I'm going to do it with the menu. I'm going to say Insert, Page Break, and Insert. And do you see right here, you're taught how to do the keystroke shortcut, and it's simply Control and Enter. So we've just inserted a new page, and at this point in time, I want to insert my second slide, and I'm going to use a little shortcut for that. Do you see where my cursor is on the toolbar? So with a single click, I go straight to Insert Image, and now I'm ready to insert the second image. Slide 2, I say Select, and once again, I remember to optimize. I have the green light, I'm good to go. I'm going to put in some alternative text. I'm just going to type the title here. Whoops, excuse my typographicals. It just gets worse every time I try to fix it. I'm going to change the dimensions just to make it a little bit smaller for our screen. And I'm going to say OK. And I've created a second page, and I've inserted my second PowerPoint slide. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to use the keystroke shortcut to insert a new page. I'm going to hit Control and Enter on the keyboard. I've inserted a new page, and I'm going to go up to the image icon on the toolbar, and I'm going to select my third image, slide 3, and say Select. I've still got the red light, so I will optimize that image. I'll insert some alternative text for some accessibility compliance, and I'll talk about some alternative text for the text readers. Oops. And I'm going to adjust the dimensions again to 600 pixels wide, and I'll say OK. Once again, I'll hit Control and Enter, and I'm ready to insert the next slide. I'll go up to the toolbar, select my image. What am I on, everybody? Am I on slide 4? I think I am. And I'll say Select. I've got to optimize my image again. The red light is cautioning me. I've got the green light. I'm good to go. I'll type in some alternative text. I'll adjust the width of the image to fit our screens, and I'll say OK. I'm going to hit Control and Enter, the keystroke shortcut, to insert a new page. And I think I'm ready to insert my last image now. And I'm on slide 5. I'll select it. I've got the red light. I'll optimize the image for the web. I'm good to go. I've got the green light. And I'm going to put some alternative text in for my last slide. And I'm just going to say something simple. I'll adjust my dimensions again. And I'll say OK. Now, if I did everything correctly, ladies and gentlemen, I've now brought all 5 of my PowerPoint slides into SoftChalk. Are we all together? I saved my PowerPoint as a set of images, and I inserted my images into SoftChalk. I better save before I lose my work. So just like anything else, I'm going to click on File and Save As. And I've been saving on the desktop. I've created a folder for this, PowerPoint SoftChalk, and I'm going to produce a folder called Demo. So I'm going to save inside the Demo folder, and I'm going to name this presentation, my demo presentation. Notice that it's now converting it to HTML. HTML is the extension that tells us it's now a web page. And I'll click Save. Again, the challenge is always remembering where you're saving things. So we now have all of our PowerPoint slides migrated out of PowerPoint into SoftChalk, but they really are web pages now. And I actually forgot to save room for a heading here. And I don't know whether there is a way that I can, that I can move my PowerPoint down without taking it out. Steve, do you have a suggestion? I'd like room to put my heading above this first slide.
Right. We'll select with select the slide and then go use your left arrow to get in front of it.
Ta-da! And now I'll
hit the return key. There you go.
Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, for a reason that we'll explain later, each of these slides needs a heading. And I'm not going to be real fancy with these headings, but I'm going to position my cursor where I want the heading to go. And up here in SoftChalk, I'm going to tell it that I'm ready to type a heading. And I'm going to make these short and sweet. I'm going to call this Migrating from PowerPoint, short and sweet. And now for the second page, I'm going to position my cursor and tell SoftChalk that I need a heading. And I'm going to call this heading, We Have a Challenge. And for my third page, I'm going to position my cursor, tell SoftChalk that I need a heading. And this is going to be a heading called Interaction Create Engagement. And for our next slide, I will position my cursor, tell SoftChalk that I need a heading, and the heading for this one is going to be It's a Balancing Act. And for my final slide, I'll position my cursor, tell SoftChalk I need a heading, and the heading here is going to be We Can Do It. And I'm going to click Save. Do you see where I am up on the toolbar? So I now have 5 pages and 5-page headings. Now we want to make it pretty. It already is pretty, but we want to make it even prettier. And I want to show you something very nice. Up here on the menu bar of SoftChalk is a link called, or an option called Properties. Let's take care of Style Properties. Now I have to caution you, anytime there are a lot of options, sometimes we all go a little bit crazy, but we've got to be careful because our PowerPoint already has a color scheme. And so even though SoftChalk gives us a wide range of color schemes that we can use, we want to pick something very simple that will complement the color scheme of our PowerPoint So I've selected a plain gray border for this particular presentation, and I want to point out the tabs, and I'm going to click on the tab for title and layout. My title is going to be Migrating from PowerPoint, and I always like including a subtitle, and I'm going to keep it short, make it fun. Here's where we can attribute the source. We can say created by and licensed to. And on the right-hand side, we can set up whether we want our sidebar on the left or the right. I love redundancy, so I allow the table of contents to show on a table of contents page and in a sidebar and in a drop-down, and I like the navigation to be everywhere that they'll put it. And I love giving this option to our students because some of our students do like to print all their pages so that they can write on them, put them in their notebooks or whatever. So I like enabling that option as well. So I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to click Save. Now I'm not going to show you how this looks yet. It already looks pretty impressive. But I have a couple more things that I want to show you before we actually look at how this appears to our learners. We want to integrate some multimedia into this presentation. And I want, since I'm trying to convince my listeners that this is the way to go, I want to start by using some humor. And the first thing I want to do is loosen them up with a bit of humor. So I've positioned my cursor after the first page, and I'm going to hit Control and Enter to create a second page. And with my cursor in that first page, I'm going to insert a new heading, and I'm going to put a humorous title called, Have You Heard of Death by PowerPoint? Not that any of us have ever been bored to tears by a PowerPoint presentation, but I want to make this humorous. I want to soften up my audience a little bit. And I have to tell you, I've done some homework. I've fiddled around on YouTube, and I have found a really funny PowerPoint presentation. Nope, I'm sorry. I found a really funny YouTube video presented by Don McMillan entitled Death by PowerPoint. I want to show you how easy it is from SoftChalk to integrate this. So watch where my cursor goes. I'm going up to Tools, and I'm going into Media Search. Now I'm going to take a look at the repositories that are available to me. And if you can see what I'm scrolling through, one of the repositories available to me is YouTube. So I select it. And in my keyword search, I'm going to type in Death by PowerPoint. Now I know it's there, but I don't have to leave SoftChalk to find it. So I simply tell SoftChalk to find it for me. Ta-da, there it is. And you can see that one of them is a little bit brighter than the other. So liking a better contrast, I'm going to select it and say Insert. It's done. I say Close. Ta-da! Do you see the widget placeholder? Can it get any easier than this? I'm going to click Save. Now, we all like YouTube, but I want to show you one other thing as long as we're talking about streaming video. We do have our scholarly audience that we must appeal to, and this is funny. I'll give you a little sneak preview of it in just a moment, but we need to appeal to our scholars as well. And I'm asserting down here that PowerPoint alone does not create engagement. So there are going to be people out in a listening or a viewing audience who would say, well, what do you mean it doesn't create engagement? I'm engaged when I watch PowerPoint. So I need to appeal to them with a little bit more than a humorous YouTube video. So using Control-Enter, I created a new page here to back myself up a little bit. And I'm going to tell SoftChalk that I need a new heading. And I'm going to make that heading be, what does the research say? And I'm going to repeat the process you just saw me do. I'm going to go up into Tools. I'm going to go into Media Search. This time, I'm going to turn off YouTube, and I'm going to turn on Intelecom. And I'm going to change my search keyword now to memory. Because now I want a more scholarly source so that I can find some scientific backing for my assertion that it's through interaction and engagement that learning occurs. I've done my homework. I know that Intelecom has some good media to support my assertion, and of course, the first one that pops up is about the brain structures involved in memory, and that happens to be the one that I'd like to use. You can see that there are a number here. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to tell it to insert it, and I'll say OK and close and save. It was that easy. Now, we're going to take a little break from building right now, and what I want to do is show you what we've produced in a matter of 20 minutes. We're not done, but I want to show you what we've produced in a matter of 20 minutes. Take a look at where my cursor is up on the toolbar, and there's an icon that says View in Browser. So hopefully you'll be seeing the browser with me. Are you all there with me? Steve and Meg, are we okay?
Yes.
Good. So here's the table of contents page. And I'm just going to page through the PowerPoint presentation as it's evolved. And you're recognizing the PowerPoint slides. Now take a look at this navigation. Do you see how this is searchable for your students? So that if they want to go back to a certain page, they can do so by merely resting their cursor over the page number. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, we needed to put the headings in, because the headings create the searchable navigation. We also have the searchable navigation on the left side of the page, and we can navigate through this way. I'm going to navigate through, and here's our YouTube video. I'm not going to run it very long, and you may not hear it very well because you're listening to it through my telephone, but it's just a funny little YouTube video.
Today's world, okay? This is what we don't want. This is typically called life or death by PowerPoint, right? We think in PowerPoint now. This is a true story.
I'm going to stop that now, but the learners could sit and watch and chuckle as they listen to this comedian make fun of the way PowerPoint is typically used or misused. We page through, and we're recognizing the PowerPoint slides. We page through, we're recognizing the PowerPoint slides, and now we're reaching the Intelecom video. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at how this steps up and rises to a scholarly challenge. First of all, do you all see this little keyhole here? I'm going to click on that keyhole, and for our students who have visual impairments, their screen reading software is going to be able to read this text to them so that this helps with accessibility compliance. If that were not enough, when we play this, I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I want you to note the closed captioning. Second of all, I'm going to click on this icon, this little controller right here, and you're going to see how the video can enlarge itself to full screen, and the learner or the student has complete control how this appears to him or her. So I'm just going to let this run for a few seconds to give you the feel for it.
There's different parts of your prefrontal cortex that
Notice
are able
the
to
closed captioning.
hold on to information called working memory. There are other parts of the prefrontal cortex that are very important for social interaction. So all these different aspects of our
The
intelligence
closed captioning remains even when it's full screen.
not only the cortex, but also subcortical structures that allow us to interact.
We have scholarly and reputable scientists.
Cortical activity that is devoted to the processing, the more subtle is the information that's extracted from the event and stored in memory. And what we know is that
So I'm going to stop now. In the interest of time, the point that I wanted to make to my audience is that we have to engage and interact with our learners if we want them to remember and to retain the content that we're presenting. And finally, the last 2 pages right now are nothing more than our PowerPoint presentations. We've just escalated this PowerPoint presentation significantly. But I'm not yet done. I'm going to close this copy of the web browser, and I'm moving back to SoftChalk. There's something else very exciting we can do with PowerPoint and SoftChalk. I have to show it to you. I want to go to the page after the comedian's presentation. Excuse me. This comedian has a great deal of fun blasting what we typically do with PowerPoint. But what we haven't done in our presentation yet is helped our users learn how to produce a better PowerPoint presentation. My colleague, Denise Krieger, our instructional designer, had put together a PowerPoint presentation that teaches people some tips and tricks for making an effective PowerPoint presentation. In preparation for this presentation, I've saved her PowerPoint as image files just like I did with mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new page and a new heading, and I'm going to make this new heading called Improving Our PowerPoint. And I'm going to use one of SoftChalk's capabilities, and watch what I do now. I'm up at the menu bar. I'm going to say Insert, Activity, and I'm going to go down to Photo Album. And you can see there's a lot of activities that we can use in here. I'm going to choose Photo Album. Now, we could insert one photo at a time, so imagine your science faculty or imagine your architecture faculty. If they already have images, they can produce their own photo album. But I've already saved a PowerPoint as a set of images. I'm now navigating to my desktop, and I've saved my colleague's PowerPoint in this folder called PowerPoint_tips. I select that folder and I say Open, and I give it a moment because there are 12 slides. It created 12 images out of those slides, and I say OK. And it's imported those images. I say OK once again, and notice that it sets it up as a photo album activity. I've got to show this to you. I'm going to say Save. And when I save it, I'm going to move to this next icon to view it in the browser. Are you all seeing this with me now? You're seeing the browser?
Yes.
Yep, we're following you real easily.
And I'm going to go straight to page 3 that I just produced, called Improving Our PowerPoint. And you're going to see that that little photo album activity is waiting there. So the learner clicks on the photo album activity. How are you doing with this with the photo album showing up? Are you seeing that, everyone?
Looks good.
Okay. Now, The instructions are up here. Learn more about how we can do a better job with our PowerPoint presentations. Turn the pages by clicking on the right or left side of each page. Now look, your learner has control. And they can turn the pages just like they would in a photo album. They control the pacing. And if I click to the right, I turn forward in the presentation. If I click on the left side of the photo album, I turn back again. This gives your learners a lot more control than they would have in the classroom, because in the classroom, the teacher controls the pacing and the direction. But when we move it into SoftChalk, perhaps into a photo album like this, your learner has control. And they can spend as much time and move in any direction through the photo album as they would like. So there are a number of different ways that you can empower your learners and your faculty members with their PowerPoint if you're working within SoftChalk. I'm going to close out of our browser, and I have one more thing to show you. I'm navigating back to SoftChalk. The last thing I have is I want to show you how SoftChalk can help both the learner and the teacher with formative assessment. And we all know that formative assessment is a way in which we can find out how well the learning outcomes are being mastered before it's too late, before they go to the test, before they have to turn in their portfolio, before they have to turn in their final exam or their term paper. So on the next to last page, I'm going to hit Control-Enter to insert a new page. I'm going to tell SoftChalk that I want a new heading. And my new heading is going to be, let's see what you remember. And this time, I'm going to go up to our menu, and I'm going to say Insert Activity. And I'd like to do an ordering activity. So I'm going to choose ordering. And in this short half-hour demo, we've learned how to follow a number of steps so that we can make a very simple PowerPoint presentation into a very dynamic web presentation. Let's see what those steps are. The first one is to review your PowerPoint. Excuse my typing, I want to move quickly for design and length. I'll add that to my list. And then we want to save that PowerPoint as a set of images. We'll add that to our list. Then we want to insert those images into SoftChalk. We'll add that to our list. We want to create page breaks, headings, and set our properties. We'll add that to our list. I've got 4 items there. And finally, we're going to build interactivity and engagement using SoftChalk tools and media, such as that from Intelecom. So I now have a list of 5 activities which have to be followed within a certain order. Notice that I'm not done yet. I want to talk about my options for this activity. I want to have instructions, and I want to describe this activity so that my students or learners using screen reader or assistive technology will be able to manage. And I'm going to say something like this. This activity helps you remember how to migrate a PowerPoint into SoftChalk and add interactivity and media. I can decide how many points I want it to carry. I can make it a 20-point activity. I say OK, and it's there. I'm going to say Save. I'll show you what we've produced one more time, and then I'll turn it back over to Steve and Meg. So our 5-slide PowerPoint has turned into a 9-page website. I'll navigate quickly through. This was our first PowerPoint slide. This was our second that inserted our YouTube video that our viewers can take their time and watch. Our third slide was our photo album. And our viewers, our learners, can page through, take notes as they choose at their own pace. We go to page 4. That's our original PowerPoint. Page 5, ditto. Page 6 is our Intelecom video that is both scholarly, has closed captioning, and is ideally suited for our learners who need assistive technology. Slide 7. Slide 8. This is what we've just added. Here's our formative assessment. Now, I've got my speaker turned on. I hope you can hear these little noises. First of all, here's the keyhole. If I click on this, this has a text-only version for our students who are visually impaired so that their text reading software can read this to them and they can participate in the activity. For our traditional students who are not visually impaired, this is a manipulative. And we should begin by reviewing our PowerPoint for design and length. And if we get it right, did you hear that little noise? It's so cute. And I'm going to get the next one wrong so you can hear the noise. And it bounces back if I get it wrong. And then I can get it correct. I get to hear the sound. As long as I get it correct, I get the happy noises. If I get it wrong, it bounces back. And notice that it kept a running score for me. I can restart if I'd like to do better and practice, or I can close. And that concludes our my end of the presentation. Steve and Meg, I can turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. I was making sure my mic works. We've got a lot of questions, and I don't know that we can answer all of them in just a few minutes. But some of the questions had to deal with the fact that you are bringing PowerPoint images in, and they're saying, you know, that means that the audio is missing, that the animation is missing, and all that. And that is true. If you want to bring in a Flash presentation just as it is, then you could, or a PowerPoint, you can convert it to Flash, and all that will come in. And iSpring is some of the tools that people have been talking about. And but just as a note, and I think, Debbie, you may want to speak to the fact that a PowerPoint that you use in a classroom and has all this additional material in it, if you want to create a real interactive lesson, you're going to want to do something else with the PowerPoint rather than just include the animation, etc. You want to talk a bit about that?
Sure. It depends upon the value that the animation adds. Sometimes the value added of the animation is more decorative than educational. And I think that's what we have to ask ourselves. And so that's just a question that has to be answered based upon any individual PowerPoint presentation. And then looking at the voiceover narration that is built into the PowerPoint, we spent a lot of years really encouraging our faculty members to add voiceover narration to PowerPoint, but what we found was that they were reading exactly the text that was on the PowerPoint slide, and that was not a big value-added feature either. And so when we look at the animation and when we look at the voiceover narration, that's still one-directional. The student is still not engaged, is still not interacting with the content other than passively as a receiver. And so I think each PowerPoint presentation has to be evaluated in that light.
Okay, there's so many questions going on. I don't even know how to manage that. Some people ask questions about accessibility and images, about bringing content in. The one thing I want to ask about is, and Meg, you want to answer this, is there's a question about firewalls and Intelecom and how Intelecom would handle that. You want to address that?
Well, we have over 100 current subscribers to the Intelecom Online Resources Network and have not received information that there are firewall issues. So again, this is a copy and paste, a URL from our website into a page of at our subscribers' institutions, or actually embedding a player, a flash player, into a website. Haven't heard of any big firewall issues, Steve.
Okay, well, excellent, excellent. Some people, they want, okay, one of the questions, and they're just coming in too fast. Somebody want to know if you want to convert a PowerPoint to Flash, if we have a suggestion, and several folks that we've seen in the past have used iSpring Free, and it's a free product, I-S-P-R-I-N-G, iSpring. And I think what I want to do now is I'm going to take the screen back, because I think people are asking a bunch of questions about both SoftChalk and Intelecom. So there's other ways to learn more about both software products, and so I'm going to give Meg a chance to talk to you about those resources, and I'm going to talk about it. And many of the questions that have coming up are about how SoftChalk works. And we don't have time to talk all about that. Some questions about how SoftChalk is important to Blackboard, and other questions about how particular things work in SoftChalk. And so I'm going to have to punt on that and ask you to come either ask those questions of our help desk or me. Send me an email, and I'll give you my email in a moment. So there's other ways to do that. So let me turn this back to Meg, and you want to talk about ways to learn more about the Intelecom Online Resource Network.
Sure. If you are interested in exploring our repository further, it's pretty much what you see on the screen here that are your options. You can go to our website, which is the link on the first bullet there, and sign up for a 10-day trial of your own. We can arrange for you a 30-day trial for your entire campus, which many campuses want to do to allow all faculty to have a chance to look at the site. We offer introductory webinars, which if you go to the link on the third bullet, you can see a couple of dates coming up. Or we would be happy to do a private webinar for your campus with a little more thorough introduction to the site and a virtual tour of it. So take a further look at our website if you're interested, and Steve will pop up my contact information later, and you're welcome to ask further questions. Back to you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. And in fact, there are many ways to learn about SoftChalk as well, and I don't want to take a whole lot of time on this, but this is one of our Innovators in Online Learning webinars, and it is being recorded, and many people have said, is this going to be recorded? Can I get a copy of it? And it will be, so you'll be able to get the recording of that done. We do weekly webinars, and so many of you have asked questions about SoftChalk. I really encourage you to drop in on one of our weekly webinar series, our Introduction to SoftChalk. We can answer all those questions. We also have have 1-hour training sessions on our website, so you can actually get specific information about particular topics, and you see some of the topics there. We do training sessions either face-to-face or as a group, and we're using a webinar. We've got mini tutorials, 1 to 5 minutes, just-in-time learning opportunities. We have lots of documentation, and the question about how does this work with Blackboard was, you can see not only do we have a user's guide, but we have an integration guide with all the major learning management systems. And we do an annual contest for the best topics our clients have created lessons on, and we have those on our website as well. So if you want to go, you can visit them and do that as well. What I'm going to do now is sort of end this, despite the fact that we have several questions that are still outstanding. And I'm trying to think whether or not there's something we should try to respond to. Some people were asking, since you lose the animation and lose the audio when converting PowerPoint to images, are there other ways to start including that? And the fact is, and while Debbie didn't show that, there are many ways, and it is easy to bring in audio or video files to complement the content that you bring in. I mean, you have to realize, and as Debbie showed, that you're really restructuring how you want to present the content for your when you start doing an online lesson as opposed to simply a PowerPoint that doesn't have the capability, the kind of interaction, and in other media that is there. Oh, speaking of other media, somebody wanted to know if you could preview the content before, on the media search tool before you inserted it. And the answer is yes, there is an info button. And if you hit the info button, you can actually link directly to the video or the image or whatever you found and take a look at it first and say, aha, okay, that's good, that's what I'm looking for, and then insert it into your lesson. So there is a way to preview the content from it. And so we are on the hour. We have kept you for a little over an hour on this, and I want to thank everyone. Debbie, it was a wonderful job, and I think that you can make that happen very well with showing people what can be done with converting to an interactive lesson. And on your screen, you see ways to contact all of us, including my email address if you want to contact me. The other thing I suggested, if you have some particular technical question, you may want to contact help@softchalk.com. And if you just are eager to buy it, you can contact our sales team. If you want information from Intelecom, that's a phone number and an email for Meg, and she'll be glad to respond to any of your questions. And our presenter is upright and center in this web page, so you can contact her. She said that she'll be glad to respond to your email requests. Another reminder, we are going to, and we have mailed, we have and are recording this session so that you'll be able to see it probably